Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Measure Valley Hoops with our Missouri Valley Conference women's basketball analyst, Debbie Antonelli. Debbie, happy holidays. How are things going this week?
Going great. My kids are ready to get out of school. There's great weather, no traffic, no lines in the stores. We're ready for the holidays down here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Absolutely. As we are here in St. Louis at the conference office, the non-conference part of the season's quickly approaching at the end of it before we get into conference play in the turn of the new year. But in the non-conference part, we've really had some statement wins of late for Missouri Valley Conference.
Double D, you know I've talked about this before, how important it is to get those signature wins that puts the Valley at another level ahead of some of the other conferences that they will be battling for a one or two bids in the NCAA tournament. When you look at Bradley knocking off Missouri, that's huge, beating an SEC team. When you look at Indiana State knocking off IU, we had Coach Wells last week. That's a huge win in overtime to beat the Big Ten. And then Wichita State, interestingly enough, has beaten Creighton, Ohio State, Clemson, and Kansas State. All of those teams have a lower RPI than Wichita State. Very interesting. And I watched that Tennessee game too, man. They had a chance at the end. I think they'll learn some valuable lessons from that game that will help them. They're going to be a tough team to knock out in the Valley.
Yeah, so close against Tennessee on the road. That would have been a really impressive win there. Southern Illinois, we've talked about many times, really turning things around from last year to this year. Dyana, Pierre at the forefront with a really spectacular performance this week, really showing that the Salukis are a real deal this year.
Well, they've already won more games now than they did last year. They only won 5. And Pierre is leading the league in field goal percentage and in rebounding. She's the only player in the league averaging a double-double. She went 14 for 14 from the floor for 31 points. That's huge. That doesn't happen very often. That's certainly something to build on. Keep your eye on Southern Illinois. Cindy Stein is doing a great job with that group.
Yeah. Another team that some folks may or may not be thinking about, but we certainly want to bring them to the forefront, Missouri State. Had some injuries, some setbacks, but they're getting healthy. Kenzie Williams has really picked up her game this year, and is really helping them turn the corner as well.
Double D, I know that you know this about me. I love offense. There's no question about that. I cannot talk about Missouri State without talking about Jackie Stiles. Some of the all-time greatest moments in my college basketball professional career have been watching Jackie put 52 on somebody, 46 on somebody else. I don't know if people realize my history in the Valley. I covered Jackie for 4 years at Missouri State. In 2001, that's Mitch Holtis. That's myself along with Jackie after they won the 0-1 title in Springfield. Jackie was named MVP. They went on to the Final Four that year. She led the nation in scoring. Kenzie Williams is not in the same sentence as Jackie, so I don't want it to sound like that's misleading, but she could be. When you take a look at her scoring last year, and this is by percentages, this is what she did last year. Now, what she did last year is 27% of her scoring came from the free throw line. 45% of her offense came from the 2-point, scoring twos. 28% came from 3. Okay, when you look at what she's done this year, last year she played 21 games. She had a knee injury. This year, this is what she's done to this point. The number I want you to point to is 51% from 2-point range. She's making more tough twos. That shows that she's not just a 3-point shooter. She's expanded her game. She rehabbed. And although this team started 0-6 to start the year, I've watched Kelly Harper for a number of years. I know what she's capable of doing. They've won 2 of their last 3. This is a young team playing 9 freshmen and sophomores. They're going to continue to get better. You better keep your eye on them.
Speaking of another team to keep your eye on, last year's Missouri Valley Conference Women's Basketball Player of the Year, Kendall Clark of the Drake Bulldogs, now out with an injury, out for the season. But Lizzy Wendell of the Bulldogs is picking up the slack in her place to help them maintain their position in the league as well.
Well, when you lose a player like Kendall Clark, everybody else has to do their job a little bit better, and that's exactly what Lizzy has done. When you look at the top 25 players in scoring in the NCAA right now, she's ranked number 21 at over 20 points per game. That's the top 25 or over 20 points. Now, there's only 4 freshmen and sophomore that are scoring that many points for their team. When you look at her numbers and you break her numbers down, here's what I want you to look at. I want you to see 15% of her scoring comes from the free throw line. 58% of her scoring comes from the 2-point range, and from the 3-point range, 27%. Last year, as a freshman, 37% of her offense came from the 3. So when you look at player development and you think about how hard players have worked to make their game better, how much she's had to expand her game without Kendall Clark, you better keep your eye on Lizzy Wendell. She's a big-time scorer. She leads the Valley in scoring right now, and she's just one of 4 freshmen or sophomores in the top 25 in the NCAA in scoring.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens once we get into the conference part of the schedule at the turn of the new year and see how all these teams match up in Valley play. It's going to be great. Every Friday night, I want to remind folks on ESPN3, there's going to be a Valley Women's Game of the Week on. So we'll be able to follow the action all week long and highlight some of those performances as well. Debbie, thanks so much for your time again. We look forward to talking to you after the holidays. Have a good one.
You too. Safe travels to everybody, and I'll see you on the road. Thanks for measuring Valley Hoops with me today.